it's Insomniac, also known as Sam, Sammy J, or whatever you want to call me. So today is, I said I'd be back on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I couldn't do Wednesday because I was so tired, ended up having an early night, and then got up in the middle of the night for a few hours, and then when I went to go back to bed, my partner was in bed, and of course I film in my room, so only because the light can go like super duper bright, so that's why I film in here. And I was unable to do so yesterday, so my apologies that I'm now filming on Friday the 7th of April. Wow, Easter's coming up soon. So let's see. I'm trying to think of where we left it last time. I'd had my blood tests. Yep, I remember that. So I will be chasing those next week, because by then it would have been close to 2 weeks ago that I would have had it done next week. So I will chase those then. A few other things to mention. On the Sunday after filming, I received 2 phone calls from 2 different hospitals. So the first one is a little bit further away. So they called to book the glucose tolerance test, and when I asked, oh, is that the 2-hour one? They said, we're not sure if it's the 2-hour one or the 5-hour test. They said as soon as they get more information, they will let me know, because I mean, it's not super duper close, but I mean, if it were 2 hours long, like my partner could hang about in the town or whatever until the appointment's over and done with, and then and the testing's over and done with, and then we could just both go back home after a coffee or something. But obviously if it's a 5-hour long test, with the wind, you won't be able to hear it now, but it's windy, it's rainy, not exactly great weather to be waiting outside 5 hours in. So in that instance, I'd rather you drop me off and then come and collect me when it's all over and done with, because it's not like proper spring weather yet, going through a bit of a cold spell. So that's that. Also, I had, like I said, I got a phone call that the glucose tolerance test will be in early May, very early May, so that's absolutely great. And I also had a phone call from my local hospital to book me in for my Holter monitor to be done. So that will be, I'll be wearing that for 7 days, she said. So I'll go in, when is it? So that one is, next week, next Tuesday. So I'll go in next Tuesday up to cardiology, and then they'll probably just ask some health and lifestyle questions or something, I'm not sure, or if I've got heart problems in the family or diabetes, just basic stuff. So hopefully, sorry about that, that was my phone. So hopefully they'll whiz through that, and it doesn't take long to hook up the machine, 5 minutes or so apparently at most. And then I wear it for a week. I've been told they'll teach me how to take it on and off, so that obviously if I want a bath, things like that, I can take it off and then put it back on again after. Which I'm a bit nervous about, so I don't know if I should like take a photograph or write, it goes in this order, or maybe they've got little stickers or something, hopefully, or colour coded, so I'll know what I'm actually doing. So that's that will be happening, like I said, next Tuesday, so that'll be another thing done. Wear that for a week, bring it back the following week, and then I think the results get sent to my GP, and my GP will probably forward it on to my endocrinologist, and I don't know how I'm going to get a copy of that. Hopefully it will show up in the app that I've got to do with like my doctor's surgery. It just shows, like, I can make appointments and view consultant letters and things like that. So hopefully it will be there and I can have a little sneak peek of it and try to make a little sense of it, although I probably won't know what I'm looking for. So the only two tests I'm waiting to hear back about is the water deprivation test. That one, I could take up to 12 hours or longer. Not looking forward to that one, but I heard that they use a cannula that they can take the blood from, some type of cannula they can like take blood samples from. So that is a lot better, being able to do that, I think, than having like a blood test every half hour to hour, because I've only got like one really good vein in my left arm. Is it my left arm? Yeah, it is. That they can get blood out easy peasy as long as I've been drinking enough water. Anywhere else, they kind of struggle. So I think it's because I've got shy veins. Well, that's what I tell them anyway. So there's that. Also in early May, I've got my my psychiatrist calling for a telephone consultation. I've put it off a couple of times because I was waiting until I'd seen the endocrinologist and all these tests had been done, and then I'd know whether my psych medication needs changing or not. So like just in case it's raising this or raising that or causing certain things to be wrong. And I thought, yeah, I'll have my psych appointment after, because then I can say, oh, I've got this letter, we've got to try and avoid, like, say, D2 receptor antagonists or something. But I don't know. What they'll probably do, what I'm hoping they'll do, is I'm going to request to be put on a mood stabiliser, which I don't think they'll have any problem with. I have been on one before, and I am struggling quite a bit, so I'd hope that they can see that, and every time I have my injection every couple of weeks, like, they are noticing that I'm not right. So hopefully it will just be simple. I'm going to ask to be put on lamotrigine, only because that is one of the only non-prolactin secreting, weight neutral mood stabilizers there are, and there are not very many of those at all. Might actually be the only one, I'm not sure, but I'm going to ask to be put on that, and I'm going to leave the rest of my psych meds alone for now. Like, stick to the plan with them, because what I'm hoping they'll do, because I really don't want to have to come off of the risperidone Consta at all, because, you know, if it wasn't for the giving up smoking, my weight was doing a lot better, but obviously quitting has made me put on 4 kilos or so, but that is over the course of about 6 months. Still terrible, but it could be worse. So I think what I might ask, if they do say that I shouldn't be on prolactin secreting or this, that or the other, then I might ask if I could be put on, I didn't write it down, there were these 2 drugs you could be put on that sort of help with, if it were to do with a prolactin secreting tumour, that it kind of gets that under control a little bit. It can help things along, like avoiding a surgery route. There's 2 different types of medication, one that begins with a B, one that begins with a C. I think the one that begins with a B, I did read something negative about it, like long term it's not good or something, I can't remember, but I think the one that begins with a C is the safer of the 2 to take and the least dangerous side effects. So hopefully they'll put me on something like that, and then I can stick to all the medications I'm already on and not have too much of an upheaval with my body changing everything, because that would be really difficult, and I'm struggling as it is, and I don't want to have all of my medications change, and then that be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and then I get very, very sick and end up in hospital again. I can't have that. So yeah, a little bit worried. So that's that appointment. I've already said I'm going to be chasing my bloods next week, and I'm so sorry, I would have looked up those drug names, but as you could probably tell, I use my phone, simply because although my partner does have a laptop, the webcam that comes with it isn't all that great quality, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to sort of get my voice to appear on it or anything like that. And then you've got the headphones, and it's just too much messing about, so I'd just rather do it on the phone. But I need to learn to write more write things down more, so that they're like to hand when I'm talking to you guys. So there were a few things that I'm not sure if I mentioned in the first video. I kind of feel I probably would have, but I've looked into one of the things a little bit more, and so if you'll remember in the first video, I did mention, I believe, that I'd gone to hospital over my heart because it was going as low as like sort of 46, 48, and then it was going as high as like 140, and that was just resting. Like, it would fluctuate between the two, and I was feeling really, really tired, dizzy, breathless, lots of symptoms, and at the time I didn't know what that was called. I thought, well, the bit that was concerning me was the bradycardia, because like being like the heart rate that low, like I've said before, for an athlete that's absolutely fine. And like before I stopped smoking, my average heartbeat used to, I'd say, probably stick around the 65 to early 70s, and like, so obviously to see it dip as low as the 40s when I'm awake, like, that is a huge difference, especially considering I do not exercise at all. So well, I am classed as unfit, really, so I don't have a lot of endurance or stamina or anything like that. Definitely not going to be competing for the Olympics anytime soon. So that, like I was saying, the thing that it was the bradycardia that was bothering me, and then also the tachycardia. It was so fast. But I was looking up on things to do with that, because I thought, well, there's a certain treatment if you've got a slow heartbeat, and then there's different treatments for if you've got a fast heartbeat. But what if you're mostly low to medium, low and then medium, flitting between those, and then sometimes get the tachycardia? Like, what do they do in those instances? Because they couldn't put you on something like, say, a beta blocker, because your blood pressure and your heart rate is naturally lower anyway, so that would probably be super duper dangerous. So there was something I actually read about. I think it was to do something, yeah, I knew I wrote something else. I had little bits here, little bits there, and I tried putting it all down, and I've missed a whole piece of paper. Only a little one, but there was something called tachycardia, or I think that's what they call it, which is can sometimes get confused with something called sick sinus syndrome, and that can actually cause the, you know, heartbeat, the slow heartbeat and the really fast heartbeat. So if there's a name for that, then obviously there must be a treatment, and hopefully not as intense as like pacemakers or anything like that, because at my age that would be absolutely crazy. I really hope, you know, whatever, if it were something like that they could sort it medication wise. I think they could. It's just I'm on a few medications, so the more medications you're on, the more difficult it becomes for you to be treated, because there's drug interactions and things like that. So just got to be careful. My doctor did put me, I can't remember if I told you, the omeprazole wasn't working for me. It hadn't been working since probably November last year. And then I was taking Gaviscon and taking the two together, which I don't think you're supposed to do. And it wasn't even working every time when I was doing that either. So I ended up sticking to the Gaviscon and just taking like 4 tablespoons, so like the 20 mils. I was taking that, every 4 hours basically, a few times a day, and it would work for about an hour and then no more. So my doctor put me on something called lansoprazole, which I think works in much the same way as omeprazole. It does work a little bit better, but as I said before, I've stopped using it for the moment until they stop taking blood from me basically, and I've had all of these testings done, because I don't want to take a drug that could interfere with the results or give like inaccurate readings because it highes something or lowers something, because then it's not a true reflection of how I am day to day. And I have a feeling I've said all this before, so I do apologise. So yeah, the only other thing I was going to mention is sleep apnea. So with snoring, I did go through phases. Obviously the heavier I was, the more I would snore, which makes sense, because like you gain weight in your neck and everything. But no, I was asking my partner about it because I came across I was looking up on sleep apnea, because that's why I got one of the smartwatches years and years ago, was because to see if I had anything like that, because I never ever feel refreshed. But then saying that, I never get a long enough sleep to feel refreshed, so you don't know if one causes the other, or it's a chicken and the egg thing, isn't it? Which came first? So I did say to my partner after reading the sleep apnea thing, like, oh God, my hair's horrible. Reading this sleep apnea symptoms, I did say to him sort of like, the bits I don't know is, obviously I know I snore loud at times. I said, do I snort, gasp or choke in my sleep? And he said, yeah, there's a lot of loud snoring. The snorting is the thing that wakes him up. That's the thing that wakes me up. I've woken myself up doing that. In fact, last night I woke up 3 times doing that, when I was on my back one of the times, and then I was lying on my left the other 2 times, and it happened. But weirdly enough, it never ever happens when I'm on my right. So I think I'm going to have to try and figure out how to stay on my right hand side. But he said, yeah, that I snort in my sleep, I gasp, and he thinks that's to do with like my breathing maybe stopping for a little while. He's not entirely sure. I don't know, because I'm asleep. So all I can go by is what he said. So what I'll do is, when I see the endocrinologist, I'll make a note. I've got a notebook, and every new little thing that's coming up like that, I think, oh, I forgot to tell her this the first time. And don't worry, I've been making little notes in a different notebook, so that I can say to her, I forgot to mention these bits, but these have been bothering me too. And the last thing, it is the last thing, ooh, I'm doing good, is I think I've mentioned before about, the ridges in my fingernails. You will not be able to see them, I doubt very much. Is that a finger? God, I can't even get it to, yeah, I guess I can see it slight ridging. Nah, can't really see it all that well. But no, I've got ridges on all of my nails, and my nails break so easily. But on my toenails, I don't think I've hurt myself. I've got like these, like, it looks like I've got splinters under the nail, because on the nail it does actually look like splinters of wood, like thin splinters of wood, under 2 of my nails, on my toes, 2 next to each other. So I will mention that. I don't know if that's got any significance to anything at all, but we'll just wait to see, shall we? So I've been chatting your ear off again. If anybody's got any suggestions, if they're, you know, interested in the medical field or anything, and they think, oh, it sounds a little bit like this or a little bit like that, then please do, you know, put your thoughts down below. This is just basically a vlog that I've been doing. One, to see if there's anybody else, you know, going through the same thing, and hopefully help somebody else who's going through endocrinology, you know, or awaiting an appointment and may have, you know, similar symptoms. We'll journey through this together. Definitely. You put how you're doing, I'll let you know in the videos how I'm keeping. But yeah, if you want to say hi, you know, put a comment down there and I'll get back to you. So hit the like, dislike, subscribe button if you'd like to see more of my videos. As I said before, I'm going to try to make a video once a week for now, I think, and then obviously doing more as things happen. So say for example today is a Thursday, so you'll probably hear from me next Tuesday. What's happening next Tuesday? Oh, that's the Holter monitor. Yeah, to let you know how that goes. And then a week from then, obviously, when I give it back, when I get the results of everything. So, yeah, I will keep you updated. And my hair's annoying me. I'll keep you updated, and you take care for now. I will see you here again next week. Until then, take care. Bye for now. I don't know how to stop. Okay, there.